I'm supposed to be getting married early October 2022. It's not going to be a big wedding or anything, but me and my fiance both have friends that we don't want to leave out. I have this friend, Amanda. We have known each other since high school, and we aren't incredibly close by any means, but we are still somewhat good friends and hang out regularly, and I would like her to be there. The problem is, I just recently found out who she is now dating, and she wants to bring him as her plus one. My sister, Lily, and her ex, Steve, broke up about 10 months ago because she found out he was cheating. She was heartbroken, and I know along with that pain, she still has a lot of resentment for him and doesn't even like hearing his name. He was a crap boyfriend, so my family has no problem with him no longer being in our lives. 8 months ago, Amanda told me she had started talking to someone, and she really liked him and everything. She wouldn't tell me who, not even his name, because she didn't want to share anything about him till it got more serious. I didn't really understand the secrecy, but didn't force her to tell me anything and just let her know I was happy for her and hope it all worked out. Well, last week, she told me she was dating Steve. They had gotten more serious and she wanted to make their relationship public to the people they care about. She also said she knew how much I disliked him and what he had done to my sister, and hoped I would try to understand their love and be happy for her and try to see him in a different light. I was a little shocked at first, since I really didn't expect her to be with a guy like him, and she knew what kind of person and boyfriend he was. But it isn't my place, and I told her that I'm happy she's happy, and that was that. Well, 2 days later, and we are texting about the wedding and everything, and she mentioned Steve being her plus one. I do not want him there. Not only because I know my sister, who's my maid of honor, doesn't want him there, but also because I don't like him, and neither does my fiancé. I immediately told her that Steve was not invited to the wedding. She was confused, and I explained to her that I was sorry and I'm happy for her, but I didn't want him there. At first, she thought it was just because my sister would be, and kept saying that they wouldn't even be near each other, and it would be fine. But then I explained that with everything that happened, we didn't want him there. I said sorry again, but she kept saying how I don't want her to be happy, how I just want to live in the past, how I want to punish her for finding love, stuff like that. None of that is true, and I tried to tell her that, but she stopped responding. So now I'm left feeling like a complete a-hole, and I don't know if I should just let Steve come or not. Not the a-hole. She wants to bring the guy that cheated on your sister, a person that you are very close to and is in the wedding party, to your wedding. I think you're in the clear here. Honestly, just disinvite her to the wedding. Someone with that mentality will definitely try to show up with Steve and cause a scene. Now I'm curious if Steve was cheating on your sister with Amanda the whole time. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. You have handled this well. It is not your place to tell Amanda whom she can date, but it is absolutely your place to decide who is and who is not welcome on your wedding day. Amanda has it selfishly backwards. On this one day, she needs to be worrying about making you happy. If she persists, you would not be out of line to disinvite her too. Asking you, your fiancé, your sister to reconcile with or tolerate Steve around is something that might happen gradually, over an earned period. But it is 100% not an appropriate ask on your wedding day. Background. Previously, very tight family, shared many holidays and gatherings. My brother upended his 16-year marriage in 2015 by taking his 3 children to Florida with his 20-female mistress of 3 years. Comes out that his small children were asked to lie to their mother about daddy's special friend for years. I tried to be supportive, but as horrible thing after horrible thing comes out, I can only support my nibblings, plural of niece and nephew, and my ex-sister-in-law. She has been a good friend for most of my adult life. Now, divorced brother is inseparable from his mistress turned girlfriend. My parents refuse to have any holiday or birthday gatherings without all adult siblings in attendance. This means exposing my own children to horrible brother and unacceptable woman. My thinking is if you implode a family, you don't get to expect to join it. My kids miss their grandparents. If it matters, brother still is pulling awful crap, including medical neglect of his daughter, frivolous custody lawsuits, and trying to get his kids to call his girlfriend mommy. They have a wonderful mom with 90% custody. This leaves me in a hot seat with my parents and remaining sibling because I expect the brother's girlfriend not to be present at family events that include my own kids. I realize this is unenforceable, unsustainable. I can't dictate who other people invite. I can't dictate who my brother has a relationship with. But dang it, it pisses me off that my brother can pull such an awful thing and everyone acts like it's over and done with. Yes, I have a lot of anger, both at him for basically replacing his wife with a 20-something younger model, and the message it continually sends to his children and my sons. And I also have a lot of anger at my parents and other siblings for basically choosing him over me and my family. How do people find peace and the ability to coexist? What has been your experience when your sibling is the favorite and the duck-up? Should I try to reconcile? Invite your sister-in-law and nibblings to your place for Christmas. You can invite your parents if you want. See if they show up. Start as you mean to go on. This is the new status quo. You do not care to see your brother or his concubine, and you remove yourself from any situation they are present in. Establish your boundaries and be steadfast in enforcing them. For a bit of backstory, me and my stepmother used to get along, but it seemed to change in the year I turned 16. Big surprise, right? However, it wasn't anything too bad. Just small arguments, disagreements. This happened a few years ago, so I don't remember all the details exactly. First, I'll explain what happened to cause the rift that has lasted to this day. Although, when Dad told her I was pregnant, while she got mad in my defense, which shocked me. I also don't think she's too happy, because if she stops me seeing my dad now, she'll also stop him from seeing his grandchild. It started around Christmas time. My dad, brother, stepmother, and me were going to Spain to surprise my aunt for her birthday. We met with Uncle, Dad's brother, and his family, and my non and granddad, Dad's parents, both of which aren't the biggest fans of my stepmother, Granddad especially, at the airport. The flight over was fine, as I was sitting by the window with my granddad and uncle next to me, and Granddad was telling me about planes and their engines, and what it was like to fly one. He flew planes in the Army. Despite being a girl, I like all the engineering stuff my father and Granddad did. Dad still even asks me to help take his bikes apart. On the rare occasion I do get to stay with him. When there's problems with it, and has even taken me to work with him a few times, when the company will allow it, as he works on hospital broken or damaged equipment, such as oxygen pipes and sometimes hospital theaters, which I can't help with, for obvious reasons. So I can see what he does. I think this is one of the reasons as to why my stepmother never really liked me all that much, because I could understand what Dad was talking about and shared similar interests and passions. Anyway, back to the story. While we were on holiday, me and my stepmother pretty much did nothing but argue, only small, and I did my best to avoid her. I tried to sit with my dad as much as I could, because unlike my brother, I didn't see him as much, and she would tell me to go and swim. I would so as not to stress out Dad, and I love swimming, and to hang around with the others that were there. There were about 20 kids, only 2 of which were even close to my age, which were my 2 cousins, who I could never find because they were always out in town. I was the oldest child there, and after my 2 cousins, was my third, who was maybe 12 or 13 at the time. But she would let my brother go over and sit with my dad for as long as he wanted. On maybe the 3rd day there, around 9 in the evening, I got tired as I had done nothing but swimming those 3 days. So I go and find my stepmother and ask for the hotel card key to get in the room. My stepmother says no. At first I was confused, then realized if I took the card, they wouldn't be able to get in. So I added that I'll ask my brother to come with me so he can bring the card back, to which my stepmother then yelled at me, saying no, I needed to stay down with everyone. I sat back down at the table with my cousins and had a hard time not falling asleep for the next 2 hours. Thankfully, my youngest cousin had a set of cards, so me and my cousins, my brother, and some others played card games for the rest of the time. It was fun, but with me being so tired, I lost quite a lot, surprising my cousins as I ruled at the game we were playing, which wasn't fun. I can't remember the day of the argument that caused the rift, but I feel at this point I should point out that me and my stepmother had been texting each other a few months before the holiday, where I complained that my mom wouldn't let me dye my hair again, which in hindsight was a good idea as my hair was dead. To which her reply was, "You're old enough to decide if you want your hair dyed. Buy the dye and I'll do it for you if you want." On this day of the rift argument, we had planned to go out to restaurant. Nothing fancy, so it wouldn't be a formal thing. My stepmother had picked out a black all-in-one top and shorts. A romper, I think it's called. Which at first I thought had a white butterfly design. But when I took a closer look, it was white bows. Cute, but not something I would wear if I had something else. And I did. I told her I wasn't wearing that and had picked out something myself. A purple button shirt with short sleeves, black trousers, and a small pair of black heels. She complained to me that it was too formal. I said I don't care, and that's what I'm wearing. She proceeded to ignore me the rest of the day. Yay! And the rest of the holiday. Hip hip hooray! Only paying attention to my brother. She herself ended up coming to the restaurant in a blue maxi dress with a floral pattern, which somehow looked more formal than what I was wearing. It looked good, and she got lots of compliments about it. And she kept saying she had picked it out herself. She didn't. I chose it for her. The thing she wanted would have made the dress that the three fairies made in Aurora look like Gucci. The only one they themselves made, not the one their magic made. The only time she spoke to me was to yell at me about showing one of the younger girls a picture of Yowie. Boy-ex-boy pairings for those that don't know. When I didn't, I showed them a picture of something my stepdad drew for me, which was a humanized version of one of my characters. I can only draw anime and flowers. I also went to a water park with my two uncles, Dad's brother and aunt's husband, and some cousins and my brother. I told stepmother where I was going, and to tell Dad so he doesn't worry. My brother had already told him and I couldn't find him to tell him. We were there for 8 hours. It was the most fun I had had on the holiday. When I got back, my dad came up to me and hugged me and crossly and worriedly asked where I had been. I told him I had gone to a water park and that I had told stepmother. Stepmother denied it and said that I never said anything to her. Brother called her on this though, as he was with me, but was out of sight of my stepmother. After the flight home, me and my stepmother had a massive argument in the car park while waiting for my sister's then boyfriend to pick us up, 4 in the morning. I can't remember what it was about, but I know my phone was involved with the argument, as she took it from me so I couldn't listen to music through my headphones, nor did they play music on the radio. I also wasn't allowed to play my DS either. Longest 2-hour drive of my life. And since we were in a moving vehicle, I couldn't sleep either. I spent the last night at my dad's, and in the morning, my stepmother pulled me to the side and said that I wasn't coming around anymore. I asked why. She didn't give me a valid reason. She just said because she didn't want me around anymore. She told me I was to go up to my room, take whatever I wanted with me, and that would be it. I was still annoyed from the not allowed to choose my own clothes argument, having my phone taken away, and pretty much being separated from my dad the entire holiday, and now being told that I was banned from coming to my own dad's house and seeing him. I was pissed. I went up to the room, gathered what I wanted, and was about to leave when I remembered that my stepmother would yell at me for leaving a single shirt on the floor because the room wasn't clean. Cue the petty revenge. I can be very quiet when I wanted to be, and managed to do the following within 10 minutes without anybody being any the wiser. I completely flipped the room upside down. Anything that I wasn't taking with me, I threw over the floor. Folders were thrown over the floor. Everything in the folders I had pulled out and randomly thrown everywhere. Clothes in the wardrobe were everywhere. Shoes, underwear, bedding that wasn't being used. Speaking of bedding, that was over the floor too. I even managed to get 2 full pillows through the light. The mattress half on and half off. I even brought the wardrobe down onto the floor. This took the longest. Once I was satisfied that I had done enough, I picked up my trash can and whatever was in it. You don't want to know what was in it. XD. I laid it around the front of the door, and without stepping on any of it, I left the room. I went downstairs and said I had everything and am ready to go. I said this in a sad voice, which I didn't really need to fake, but had to try very hard not to laugh. 10 minutes later and I was back at my mom's. Later that night, I get a message from my stepmother yelling at me for leaving my room in such a state. I simply texted back that I'd come and clean, but I'm banned from the house. She said she was going to tell my dad about it and that I was going to get it from him, but I never heard anything from him, So he either didn't care or she didn't tell him. Since then, she has done her best to keep me away from my dad. Within reason, she can't stop me from seeing him or force Dad not to see me. Anne had decided that whatever I wanted, she wanted it first. For example, I really wanted a graduated bob haircut, and I told Dad this when we were up visiting my grandparents. She overheard. The last time me and Stepmother spent any sort of time together. And the next time I see my stepmother, she had a graduated bob. I've also really wanted to go to Scotland to see Loch Ness. And last year, in May, they announced they were going to Scotland, and on the 4th of July, 2 days before my birthday, Dad and Stepmother are there. Pretty sure she also went to Scotland around my birthday because I invited my dad to a barbecue that we were having in celebration for it. Stepdad was okay with me inviting him. Anyway, that's enough. I could fill the whole page with stories of my stepmother, but I won't to save people's IQ. I don't know if this qualifies as vandalism, but it was my room. This may sound weird, and I don't mean it to, but it sounds like stepmom is afraid of competition for your dad's attention and affection. Sadly, some women never grow past being at the mean table in high school and stay petty, entitled, selfish Regina Georges their entire lives.